Trouble with regens. Diesel emission systems, excessive regens or no regens. You may have a manufacturer that may not even allow regens, or it's just troublesome to get it to do it. But excessive regens is also going to be a problem. There's going to be multiple causes for that. The causes between the two, very similar. So let's get into it. What causes excessive regens can cause and may cause a no regen. While the causes are similar, they're different in severity in the majority of cases. And what I mean by severity, not meaning the problem is going to be more expensive to fix necessarily. It's just more defined by the monitors in the system, the ECU. It's more of a defined answer. It's that it's getting that the sensor's bad, the component's bad. It's just more of a concrete value that it's not going to be maybe a loose connection or whatever, and it's getting I don't want to say biased reading, but that's the only word I can come up with, because your computer tests these sensors with biased readings. But if it's a loose connection, it may be right at the time when it does its bias voltage check. That's usually how they check if the sensor's working or the component's working with the sensor, that they send the bias voltage out with a calculation. They know what it's going to return. So that's how they would check it. But let's get into excessive regens and what to look for. What to look for in excessive regens is, you're going to look at the engine. You're going to look at all the different systems of the engine, different sensors, from EGT to MAP, MAF. You're going to look at coolant temperatures, engine temperatures, boost. If you've got a boost leak, you've got someone drilled a hole in your thermostat. They've got an aftermarket radiator on it. Your EGRs being sticking or something. You gotta look at the engine and look at the sensors. You got leaks. You got an oil leak or an internal oil leak, like in the turbo. You got oil growth in the crankcase. Oil growth can come from many different things. It could come from not many, but a couple. It's going to be usually ash. Usually got in there through the EGR, being pumped back into the intake, and then it's going to be different. It's going to be different. The soot being pumped back around into the intake, and then put back in the combustion chamber, and then it burns again and becomes ash. That'll get down into your oil. It's abrasive. I recommend putting a secondary filter on it, a 1 micron filter, usually after your regular filter. But some of the engines have 2 oil filters on them. Some of them don't. If you have that, you get an adapter and run a 1 micron. You'll see these oils run cleaner than they do coming out of the bottle. Your after treatment system can have leaks too. But you get, like you said, the leaks in this are going to be across engine and after treatment system. You're going to see leaks, like fuel leaks could be a problem. Internal fuel leaks, you're going to see oil growth over that. But you may have a post combustion injection system that's going to cause oil growth. That means your oil is going to be diluted. Some of these things have sensors in them that'll tell you if the oil condition is bad. Or they got clocks where they estimate a time that it should be changed. Or they got a level gauge in them that's going to tell them that you got oil growth. Again, that'll cause a no regen issue most of the time. But just to touch on it, I guess. Fluids, oils, make sure you're running CJ4. These fleet guys are slapping whatever they can get their hands on your vehicles. You want manufacturer spec stuff. You want CJ4 API certified stuff. That's just API approved. Just CJ4 low ash oils. Synthetics, I'm not a fan of. Very expensive stuff for not much more of a benefit. From what I see. Additives. Don't use additives unless the manufacturer says it's okay. These can cause damage to your system, make it run inefficiently. Inefficiently means multiple regens. With the fluids, also, coolants are important. Run extra. Run even make sure you're up with the desiccant dispersant in the coolant. Your fuel filters. Just don't run additives unless the manufacturer. You're gonna have plenty of people that are gonna tell you this is the best stuff for the engine. Yeah, they'll market that all the way to the bank and shrug their shoulders at you when something happens to your truck. Someone tries to push it on you, or a guy tells you that the outside of the manufacturer, even some dealers, you tell them to put it down in writing, and then have a condition check of your truck, have the engine checked, have the DPF checked, and keep track of your mileage. And when you ask them to put it in writing, you're going to see them backpedal. Just be aware of it. Just stay away from additives, because these things are going to have stuff in them like sulfur and phosphorus. You want to stay away from this stuff. This is stuff that they're eliminating, because it causes havoc. With the sulfur and whatever, it'll cause havoc. Even though your system sees a little tiny bit of sulfur in SOx now, a lot more will be havoc to your system and damage components. But just don't run additives, please. Just save yourself some headache. Driving habits. Warm the truck up before you pull off. Don't mash on the throttle. Don't do stop and go driving. I'm not telling you not to do stop and go driving. I'm just telling you that don't make it a regular thing. I mean, take it for highway runs. You're gonna see problems in cold weather. A lot of people are drilling holes in these thermostats. If you bought a used truck, check it out. Have somebody check it out. A lot of people thought they were doing themselves a favor. These radiators on these trucks, so you might have an aftermarket one. You want factory stuff. These are all designed to run with the engine. These systems, these systems have multiple water pumps on them. Cold, low temperature, high temperature, EGRs, low temperature, high temperature. I've seen as many as 4 thermostats in some of these diesel motors. It's craziness, but they're there for a reason. If these manufacturers didn't have to put them in, they wouldn't be there. But electrical and electronic, this is a huge thing too. You may have a loose connection. You may have a loose connection that's just not loose all the time, but it just wiggles loose. There's pinch points in the system that the system thought that these trucks are being used. They're vibrating. They're rubbing. These wires are rubbing up against stuff. They're rubbing up against each other. You're gonna have probably you could have some electrical problem. You could have a loose wire that's in the connector. But the depth, when you're pouring depth in these things, this isn't anybody's fault, or yours per se, or your driver's. Some of these bottles you buy, and don't buy it in a pump. Don't buy depth out of the pump. You're going to have condensation in those tanks. You're going to have condensation in the lines. It's going to cause you problems that you're going to say depth contaminated, and it's going to be diluted. You're going to have crystallization that's in the tank from old stuff that's in there. Just buy it in a bottle. Don't refill these depth bottles. Just buy another bottle, and it's just ISO regulated. They have protocols that they follow, and they have certain specifications that they got to meet. They're expensive machines, and that's why they're just more reliable. They got a year date on them. Just pay attention to that. But your electrical connections with the DEF, when you put it in the tank, these straws they give you to put it in, they leak. But just try and make sure you don't get contaminants in the system, like particulates, like around the cap. You got stuff around it. Just clean it off before you open the cap. Check your filters in the system. You may have a metering valve on a specific model, like I know of, that's on the top of the motor, and they inject the dosers in the metering valve. You have a couple filters in there. You take it apart and you clean them out. But you're going to test this system. When you get these electrical things, you're going to have things that'll tell you, you know, your DEF's contaminated, but it could be a clog filter. It could be contaminated, but it could be a clogged filter or a clogged doser. You know, but you got to eliminate your possibility. It could be a doser that went. But you're gonna have to look at these things. You have someone that knows what they're doing. Look at these things, and you know, some dealerships don't even know. They just rather sell you another system. I've seen systems that don't even run on DEF for years, and then they start, and no one knows why. I mean, I never got to look at them myself. I just heard the stories, so I didn't get to see why they didn't run on the DEF. Would I have found it? Probably. I'm not going to say I walk on water, but I probably would have found out why. But electrical is going to be a problem. You know, you got. Like I said, they're going to be more defined in no regen. You're going to see in the no regen that I'll get into that actually, but after this. But these electrical problems are going to be just on borderline or just enough to throw it off. And throw the readings off, and your computer says something's wrong. You get up a bad sensor, bad DPS sensor, differential pressure sensor, you know, knock sensor, you know, engine temperature sensor. You know, it's not reading the right temperature, and it's thinking it's getting up to temperature, and it's not. So that'll cover a lot of the things on your systems, without getting too crazy. But no regen, like I said, same stuff, just more defined. Leaks, components, you know, you got to have scan tools and stuff for this. Fluids, same thing. Oil growth, you know, this can some manufacturers can tell you no regen with oil growth or oil condition. It's just not going to let you do it. And your electrical, this is going to be more defined, definitely more defined. It could be simple as a switch. Your parking brake switch isn't on. Your pedal thinks it's being pressed. You know, these are very simple things that could cause no regen. It could cause it just when the truck's idling, just enough to shake a little bit when the truck's idling. It could be enough to throw that pedal down to the floor and tell your truck to come out of regen. So you get an interrupted regen. This is a lot of things that you'll see with a no regen, or you know, what you think is an excessive regen because it's cutting out, but it's actually technically canceling itself. So just so you're aware of it, if you've got a no regen, there's a problem. Usually, you're going to be accompanied by check engine lights that with other codes. You got to resolve those issues. If you got leaks, you're going to have to resolve the leaks. You got to smoke test it. You got to pressure test it. Sometimes you got to heat up these systems to a temperature where it's warm enough that these little holes or little gaps will show themselves under pressure, under a smoke machine. You gotta be creative in reproducing these things so that they happen in front of you. But you know, a scan tool is necessary, and you could do a forced regen, but I would tell you be a mechanic, be a tech, be able to monitor these systems while you do it, because these people that do these are, you know, they're monitoring for the majority of the time. I'm not going to say all of them do. Some of them park your truck outside and do it and walk away, but they should be monitored. You got to monitor. Sometimes it can take up to 2 hours, but it's protecting the engine. They're getting paid for it anyways. But just so you're doing it, make sure it's monitored. You know, I walk around with my tool, and it's Bluetooth, so I walk around the truck. I'm wearing a thermal imager, and I'm swapping from the thermal imager down back to the scan tool and monitor the values. So I know that I know there's nothing going on externally and nothing going on in the computer, that nothing's happening. And you know, these electrical things, like I said, switches, all that's going to be important. So just stay tuned. We will go subscribe. We are going into manufacturers, so